Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Detour podcast. This is going to be our last episode before we're on the ground at the Tour de France.
Yeah, ever. Not ever.
Oh, jeez.
I thought it was going to be my last one ever this week.
I know. You've been crook, John.
It's last episode we did. We talked about the challenge of COVID. I did think I was bulletproof. Turns out I'm not. I've come down with the dreaded COVID. So there you go. I've travelled around the world just last month. Didn't get it. Come home and bang.
Yeah. You're like the riders at the Tour of Swiss.
Yes. Well, they've been dropping out like flies. But I managed to last Saturday. Went for a pedal on my new bike and got back. In the evening, I had a bit of a headache. Nothing serious. Woke up Sunday morning. Headache was worse. I never get headaches, not even when I get sloshed. But anyway, it's another story. But supposed to go watch my granddaughter in a little stage show on the Sunday. I said to my wife, "Look, I better do a test. I don't feel too good." And sure enough, it came up positive. And then the next day, she was positive as well. So we've been in ISO together. She's handled it better than me. I've been pretty crook, actually. But red eyes, but just jumped out of a shower. I feel the best I've felt all week. So
we've got a window of about 20 minutes. So short and sharp tonight. But
yes.
I feel a bit like Jai Hindley in the last week of the Giro in that I just don't want to get COVID, obviously, before I fly out on Monday. Like it's that sort of bunker down weekend where you just can't take any risks. So I think I'm just going to fully.
We should tell all the Detour family exactly what you're doing. So I'm pretty excited that I'm not going in some ways, but that of what you're going to do. So paint the picture because I think it's fantastic.
Okay, so I'm going to be the official Couch Peloton. Here's the sticker: Couch Peloton representative for SBS's coverage. So I work for the fans. So each day they can send me challenges. They can tell me, Dan, you're our representative. Go talk to Caleb Ewan about Lamborghinis or whatever it is, and I'll go out and do it. And then every day we've got a Ride of the Day award, so hashtag Ride of the Day, and you nominate who you thought, put in the Ride of the Day, and it doesn't obviously have to be the stage winner. Could be Super Domestique that went back and got 50 bottles for the stage or something. And then whoever gets the most votes on social, I'll present them with one of these little kangaroos, plush one every day. And then I've got consolation prizes for the losers. So I'm quite happy to go up to riders that ran second or third and say, well, you regret that you just didn't try that little bit harder and give them an Aussie badge. And then the Grand Boomba is the Grand Kangaroo that we're going to get a yellow jersey on. And whoever wins the tour, my goal for this year's Tour de France is they go up on the podium with that kangaroo. So could you imagine the reaction if Pogacar wins the tour and he goes up on the podium with a yellow kanga? People will be going, what the hell's going on? But as we do in Australian culture, we like to claim, successful people that are from overseas as Australian.
Well, so whoever wins the tour, we can claim him. His fiancée, who's Slovenian, is actually riding with the Aussie team. So that's a good enough. That's a connection.
Yeah, exactly. And, he shows all the characteristics. Mateship, works hard. Yeah. Probably good value off the bike. So
yeah, I've got a man crush there. I've got to tell you, I love him. I think he's sensational.
And the other big news is our old mate Chris Froome starting the tour. Can he make it number 5, John?
No.
No,
he knows that. But it's great to see him. Look, it's been one of the great challenges. Most people who've won 4 Tours de France and multimillionaire would have just binned it, But it's something in there. He knows that he wants to get back to his best. I think even if he gets back to his best, he wouldn't win the tour now because he's older. Pogacar is just a youngster, 23. It's probably not going to happen. But he's going to be competitive at his best. But he's nowhere near his best. I think he'll be more in a support role. They're fighting for survival, Israel. I mean, they not the country. They've been fighting for survival for a lot of years as well. But the bike team, and they're fighting for survival. And so, they've got those 3 teams at the moment with them and Lotto and Bike Exchange at the bottom of that new point system. So it's going to be a really interesting battle over the next few months as to who gets relegated. But look, interesting, and it'd be nice to talk with one of his old teammates, actually, who's going to come on shortly.
Chris Sutton.
Because so CJ is going to have a yap with us. He's, as he said, doing the mum thing, bathing the kids at the moment. So,
yeah,
you know what that's like, mate.
That's
but
right.
And we'll be talking with Whitey soon too. He's getting a haircut, so they both are sort of tied up or in the chair or whatever it is. But it'll be interesting to talk with Whitey as well, find out what's the go in Europe, because it's been a scary thing with what's been happening in Europe this last week with the amount of COVID cases and how it's affecting the sport.
Well, I haven't heard any updates in terms of restrictions for the Tour de France. That's the big unknown at this point. Do they go back to the bubble? Or we were talking obviously with Phil about it last episode. Because the organisers, as much as they know it's a safety issue, they still like the whole premise of, they're surrounded by fans, and given that the majority of people have been sort of triple boosted, some people have had 4 shots now, they're sort of, I don't know how they're going to play it.
I've had 5 shots.
Have you?
Didn't do me any good.
You survived.
Well, I'm alive, yeah.
But one interesting chat we had on the social distance potty the other day, if he was the debate around, actually it hasn't gone live yet, so you're getting the scoop. The debate around the cobble sections at the Tour, and Bewley got quite fired up about it, saying that they have no place in a Grand Tour because we all want to see the best guys boxing on in the final week, and it should be based on like the best rider, not having a ridiculous stage where a rider can just lose the Tour for what?
Yeah. A very good interview with Pogacar. I'm not sure which is Cycling News or Cycling Tips, one of them. I think it was on Velo News, actually. And he just so matter of fact, he said, well, look, he's not looking forward to that stage because it's the old cliche. No one's going to win the Tour here, but they can certainly lose it. So he's worried about it. He said, but for the fans, they'll love it, of course. And that's where it's hard for someone like ASO. Whenever they put it on, it has record views, record people watching the race. You don't miss it because it's just so exciting. But there was an interesting couple of photos of Geraint Thomas, who went and visited those sections after his win in the Tour de Suisse. Isn't it funny? I picked him as my outsider, and then he goes and wins the damn Tour. So I hope we got our bets on while he was about $60, because he won't be now.
It was $26, I think.
Yeah, okay.
You were talking about.
But there's a photo of him. And they were just relaying some cobbles, and he was putting his wheel down the gaps in the cobbles. It was an interesting shot. But it'll be fascinating.
And obviously, from an Aussie perspective, Johnny, Rowan Dennis has been ruled out of the Tour de France. Obviously, contracted COVID, I think stage 3 of Swiss, and withdrew.
Did he actually?
I think
didn't he? I don't know, because he actually withdrew. The team, Holstack, got pulled out because with COVID. They said they didn't name anyone who had it. When he stopped earlier, he had stomach issues. So whether he actually got COVID or whether his stomach issues, but they didn't name him in the team, and they didn't say it was because he was unwell. They just didn't name him in the team. So you would think he'd be in there big time. I'm concerned about Jumbo Visma in that I want them to be 100%, because that's going to be a great bike race with them versus UAE. It's going to be enormous. But if Wout van Aert really is going to go for the green jersey, I think they're stupid.
Yeah.
They're going to need, the only way they can win this is having that double-edged sword of Roglic and me mate Vinegar. And if they do it properly and use that two-edged sword is the only way, though, I believe, because they've got a very strong team, is that they can beat Pogacar.
But when they say to Wout van Aert, you just do your own thing. We're not going to give you any support.
No, but he's too good. He needs to be riding for either one of those. Not going for green jersey. Go for stage wins when they pop up. But forget the green jersey.
Five other blokes will get the job done, John.
Well, then fine. Then they'll run second or third in the tour again. They won't win.
But you get the green. You get something.
Well,
what if you went all chips in, didn't win the green, and you ran second and third anyway? And then they go iffy.
Yeah, what do they want to do? They want to win the Tour de France. They've ran second the last 2 years, mate. There's only one way to win this. All in with those two, with Roglic and Vinegar, and Van Aert has to ride for them to win, to win this race. Otherwise, no.
Well, another fascinating insight with George. Yeah, we did a bit of a preview that'll come out on Monday, but he was saying about, they're looking at Jumbo, and they realise that it's going to be a two-prong attack, and Bewley said, yeah, but Pogacar's that good. Even if someone goes off the front, he'll make the call when he wants to go, and that's it.
True. Maybe. George is going to be very important. George is going to be, he says his form's great, whatever. He's going to be a very, very important rider in this. Yes.
That's right. Well, we're joined live now by someone that knows a lot more about this stuff than two blabbering idiots. And that is, of course, Matt White. Whitey, you're looking fresh, mate. Nice trip.
Thank you.
Haircut.
I'm off. I'm off actually this afternoon to the Tour de France. So I'm actually going away for the weekend with my family to some more bike races. This time for kids, and then going straight from the race on Tuesday morning from Alicante direct to Copenhagen. So packing my bags in the next hour for the whole month of July.
How's the form of the kids?
Good, actually, mate. Geordie had his first win 2 weeks ago, and
nice.
the little and he got third last weekend. And the little fella, who only just started cycle racing this year, he's got 5 podiums already. So he hasn't won a race yet, but he's in the mix. He's the little sport Billy of the family. Whatever he touches, he goes good at, mate.
So what was Geordie's salute? Because he's been practicing salutes for, I'd say, 6-7 years at least.
Well, Dan, the rule they have here in Spain is the kids under 15, if they do a salute, they're disqualified. So no hands are raised, which is, I think it's a good thing, because the kids watch too much television as it is, and you can just imagine 9 or 10-year-olds doing double-handed victory salutes. It's only asking for trouble, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's like when Cadell won the Worlds in 2009, just straight over the line. How are you travelling anyway, mate? How's the team field? And it's always a big build-up to any Tour de France, but how's the squad?
Good. The team is going to be officially announced tomorrow morning, I think 9 o'clock Central European time. But there's no surprise. Our goal for the race, and that's to win stages. The makeup of the team may be a surprise or two, but the objectives don't change. Just how we're going to go about them, we'll find out. You guys will find out tomorrow morning.
You're not going to tell us. You're not going to break protocol.
No, that would be that wouldn't go down. That wouldn't go down too well, mate. Yes, exactly.
But we're talking then about Jumbo and how they're probably going to have a crack at the green and the overall, which is ambitious. But is the green jersey something that you'd think about having a crack at?
No. Because obviously, there's no surprise. Dylan Groenewegen and Michael Matthews will be coming to the Tour de France. But now on the flat sprints, our priority is definitely Dylan. And then on the other stages that Dylan doesn't make. And Michael's very versatile. As people who watched Tour of Switzerland last week could see, that Michael's changed over the years as well. He's probably not as fast as he was back in the day, but he can mix it on medium mountain stages, and he's a lot more robust. Dylan is more of a pure sprinter and very, very powerful, whereas Michael's much more of an aerobic beast.
Iffy?
Well, we're just debating. I think that Jumbo is making a big mistake. They've run second in this tour twice. The only chance to beat Pogacar is that I think with this two-pronged attack with Roglic in great form, my mate Vinegar in great form as well. But for Van Aert to go for the green jersey, I think that's ridiculous.
Well, the devil will be in the details, Johnny. But there's a few scenarios obviously that could evolve, and one of them is let's say the Roubaix stage. So if Van Aert is trying to win that stage, which I dare say he will, what happens? What happens if something to Roglic or your mate Vinegar behind? It's one thing's racing for the win, and the other thing is racing to protect the leader, and it is going to be extremely hard to manage on that stage, particularly. I think the other battles, letting Van Aert do his own sprints or letting Van Aert go down the road in medium mountain stages and picking up the intermediate sprint in the middle of the day that the sprinters won't win. I think that's manageable, but there will definitely be moments during the Tour de France which will be very tricky for them to manage. I'm very confident that Van Aert will win the green. I think he's probably the most well-rounded athlete in the sport at the moment. And but I think sometimes there will be a compromise, and where that compromise is, whether it's towards his points for the day or it's for protecting his leaguers, that's a decision for Jumbo to make on a daily basis.
We've got to go to some live questions. Prasad says, "Hi, is G. Thomas any chance of a podium at the Tour? What is your opinion on Team Ineos for that matter, and any other team who can challenge UAE, Whitey?"
Yeah, well. Until I am informed otherwise, Ineos are going with a three-pronged attack. Adam Yates did catch COVID last week at Tour of Switzerland, but knowing how fast guys are recovering, and I do not know how Adam is recovering, it's still possible that he goes to the Tour. And then obviously they've got Martinez, who didn't look super in Switzerland, but he also didn't look super last year in Tour of the Alps 2 weeks before the Giro and rode a very good Giro. So to answer the question, is G a chance for the podium? Yeah, I would put him in a group of riders to be an outside chance at the podium. One, because of his experience, and two, because of his time trialling ability.
Yeah,
I suppose
I think he's a very good chance for that third spot on the podium because his form in Switzerland was so good. And I put Ben O'Connor. He's actually my pick to run third in this bike race, Ben O'Connor. There you go.
Good call. Now, opening time trial.
Well, it's John's call.
Yeah, that's it. Just this awkward silence. We're just waiting for someone to chime in. We move on. I want to talk about, we had Luke Durbridge on the other day, and he showed some great form. Those time trial legs are well and truly back to some of the best form we've seen in a while. They're all raving about the new equipment. You look at the opening stage, 13.2, pancake flat. I mean, that has got Durbo written all over it. How's he faring leading in the Tour?
Yeah, good. He went to the Dauphiné, had a really nice time trial at the Dauphiné, one of his best time trials in years, I would say. And I'd pencil Durbo in for a top 10 on day one. I think it's going to be very hard to go past the likes of Ghana. You saw he won the Italian time trial championships yesterday. He has been training to win this prologue for a year. And the big fella knows how to prepare for big events. He's an incredible piece of work when it comes to time trialing, and I very much doubt anyone is going to challenge him. I think if anyone was going to challenge him as a young guy from Switzerland, Bissinger, when it's a flat TT, he's also very, very fast. But I think he left Tour of Switzerland with COVID last week, so not an ideal run-in when you want to win stage one. But it's hard to go past Ghana.
Did Matteo, I didn't see the results of Italy, did Matteo ride?
He did. He finished fourth, just missed the medals. But the problem there, well, it's not a problem, it's the course. It was a dead flat TT. And Matteo's forte is a hilly TT or an undulating TT, and it was dead flat. Three big fellas got in front of him. It was Ghana. Second was the big fella from Quick Step. I can't remember his name. He ran like 11th in the Tour last year.
Yeah.
And then third was Eddie Affini. And Ediafini just got the better of Matteo, I think, like 8 seconds. But, Matteo is more suited to the Hillier TTs, which it wasn't.
Speaking about Dylan, it was obviously good to see him get a win at Slovenia there, but we were talking to a few people about how negative the Dolphino was raced, where teams were literally, I think Trek were literally burning matches to make sure that there wasn't a sprint, but then not even going on to try and win the stage at all. So this level of negative racing, I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen this type of stuff for a while.
Yeah, look, don't worry, it's all going in my back mind. It comes around, goes around. But yeah, look, everyone has tactics, but to clearly just to try to put us under pressure and then not delivering anything, it makes them look like muppets. At the end of the day, if you've got a tactic to put a sprinter under pressure, but then you actually don't deliver anything at the end, well then, good luck explaining that. But as I said, everyone's more than welcome for their own tactics. And at the end of the day, when we get to the Tour de France, if that happens in the Tour de France, well, guess what? We've got Michael Matthews and Luca Mezgec there at the final anyway. So we've got on those flatter days and those medium mountain stages, we're going to have a lot of things covered.
Now, I know you can't announce the riders lineup.
You just named half the team, but that's good.
No, that's fine. But
everyone knows who the stars guts of it.
Now, you can't announce the riders, but can you announce the DSs? And will you pull an absolute shock and announce P Weaning for the Tour de France, or is he still too green?
No. Peter's still on his P's for director, and no, Peter has to do his director's course at the end of the year to actually be in certain roles as a director. So Pete's been doing actually a brilliant job this year. I've done a few races. I've done a few races with Pete, and he's settling in over this side of the fence really well. And the good thing is he knows us as a team. He knows how we operate, and Pete, it's up and down. There's no grey area with Pete, and that's good.
Well, it's like it takes a year to train a guide dog, doesn't it? It's the same thing. Just take the sting out of his tail a bit. We've got a live question. Samantha says, are the team bubbles happening at the tour? It'd be devastating for COVID to run right like at the Swiss tour.
They are. And Johnny's more than aware of how strict we are with our bubbles. And look, at the end of the day, I think the biggest worry for the ASO at the moment is if they get a repeat of Switzerland, then the Tour de France could be ruined. But imagine if we woke up on the second rest day, 5 days to go, and there's 30 positives. Yeah. Imagine, and who's to say it's not going to happen? It's the thing is that the general public around the world have given up on COVID. Because at the end of the day, for the general public, it's an illness that is still affecting people, but for people to go about their normal day-to-day life, people don't need PCR tests anymore. People don't need people in Spain. My kids finished school this week, and in Spain the rules changed. And there was a kid that went to school last week with COVID. It was allowed to, but all he had to do was wear a mask in the classroom.
Oh wow!
So from where we were 3 months ago or a year ago, it's a totally different playing field. And the problem is, the facts are we're getting a 6-day test and a 3-day test on the run into the race. And so we all know that once we get to Copenhagen, when we get the 3-day test, that the peloton is and all the staff are clear. That bubble finishes then. And as Johnny saw there at the Giro, hotel staff, the general public, they're everywhere. And even if we wear masks, it's not 100% foolproof. So, we're going to need a bit of luck, and that's all the teams included, because at the moment, unless they change the rules between now and next week, we'll be getting a 6-day, a 3-day, and 2 or 3 PCR tests during the race. And there is no exception, whether you have symptoms or not, whether you've been triple vaccinated or not, whether you actually have any at all. If you return a positive test, you have to go home. Now, for us as staff, we are replaceable, but for athletes to go home mid-race would be a disaster, just because how much money teams have invested in these athletes, and how much effort these athletes and sacrifices these guys have made to get on the start line of the tour.
So does that mean the restrictions for the pre-race interviews and post-race are going to be different? It's going to be like a couple of years ago where there's like an area where you can get the grabs, or?
I think they're being a little bit more lenient than before. The Giro was sort of halfway. They were keeping most people. They were keeping most people out, and I'll have to have a look there, Jonesy, what's going to happen there. But I would expect it to be something similar to the Giro, whereas certain people could get access anywhere, and then other people could only get access in designated media areas, which, we're going to make media wear a mask, because at the end of the day, the media aren't getting tested. Yeah, whereas the general public aren't getting tested, so we've got to protect our athletes and our staff as much as we can.
Fair enough. All right, mate. Well, thanks for joining us again on the detour. We'll be checking in, and I will definitely be wearing a mask over in Copenhagen and throughout the tour. But we look forward to catching up, and good luck for the prep, mate, and have a great trip away with the family.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It'll be good to catch up. It's been a while.
Been a while. Been a long time.
It's definitely been a while at the tour. That's for sure.
5 years. Half a decade. So,
time flies, eh?
Yeah, that's it, mate. Looking forward to it. So thanks again for joining us, Whitey.
No worries, gents.
See you, Matty.
Mate. Take it easy.
See you guys.
Fresh-looking Matt White. He's ready to rock for the Tour de France. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got CJ Sutton. So stay tuned for plenty more detour.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange for all their support on the detour. Absolute legends. And if you need anything, make sure to go to bikeexchange.com.au, anything bike related. Now let's chat now to CJ Sutton, who joins us live, former Team Sky rider. Sutto, how are you travelling, mate?
Mate, I'm cooked.
Well, we'll keep it short and sharp, mate, because I've got tickets to go see Elvis at 8:15. So,
What?
Well, the Baz Luhrmann film, the new one that came
It's
out.
good to see where priorities are, mate. Like, seriously.
Well, see, I booked it in ages
I'm giving
ago.
myself an iffy.
Yeah, no. Well, I can maybe let it keep running, and then I'll take off and just turn it off on my mobile.
Me and iffy can go all night. Don't worry about it. We don't need you.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And CJ's been busy bathing the kids.
that's right.
Oh, mate, like, seriously, like, full credit to, like, mums, single mums. It's just like, I can't. My wife knows I hate bed and bath duties. I pick the young fella up from school. Then the in-laws were looking after the youngest, the 2-year-old, nearly 2-year-old. I've gone, got him, come back, cook dinner, bed, or bath, bed. Oh, it's just like, I can't handle it.
Yeah,
It's just like,
and then you get the curveballs when they don't want to go to sleep, and you try everything. There's only so many times you can read Dr. Zeus, green eggs and ham.
oh no, that's why our kids dinosaurs and cars and trains.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So how do you feel this time of year, CJ? The build up to the Tour de France, and obviously there's so much hype. You live in a country like Australia, and they know one race, Tour de France. And when they know that you've got a connection to Sky and those glory years and all that sort of stuff, do you feel like far out, the tour's on again, or you're just so cooked from bed and bath routine where you go, I'll watch the highlights?
No, whether you've ridden the tour or not, like being a professional athlete, you always watch the tour. Being a young kid, you know, you race home from school. You know, I was fortunate enough, like as a young kid, that I got to do all sports. And I see why now. Karma is, can I say bitch? Karma's a bitch. And like my parents needed to wear me out. So that's why I was fortunate enough, and I did all sports. You know, they needed to wear me out. And I see that with our two young boys now, like a 4-year-old and nearly 2-year-old. But it's, you know, I used to race home from school or, you know, and then go training, like ride my bike and then come home, watch the tour highlights. You know, it was always like that. Like, and I always had a dream that I wanted to ride the tour. I never did, but, you know, I did a lot of other things that in my career that I was, you know, blessed for, but it's always about the tour. And, you know, I like the last couple of weeks, like I've been pulling like 19-hour days. I'm a bit cooked, but you know, because at the moment I'm going through a big shop renovation with a bike shop and stuff like that. So, and I had to get everything out of the bike shop so the builders could go in. But
how'd you go getting builders in this climate? They can't even finish the block at the moment.
So at the moment, it's obviously the bike shop. It's called Sutton Cyclery. This has been in the works for a while, but the guys started last Saturday. They'll be finished tonight. They'll put a few finishing touches on tomorrow. But as of Saturday, the bike shop's going to be known as Giant Ramsgate.
Giant Ramsgate. Nice.
Yeah. Yep. So big changes. But you know what? Like the last 2 years, like since I've had the bike shop, you know, Giant have supported all their dealers across Australia. Giant have been the only supplier that, you know, everyone got allocated between 5 and 15 bikes every single week. And I know it's not fair to a lot of people because they've got like big bike shops. But you know, they've looked after all their dealers because they didn't want to see any bike shop shut because they couldn't, you know, supply bikes or sell bikes. So, you know, and like it's, everyone can take it with a grain of salt. You know, like 1 week I'll get, you know, 26 bikes, and the next week I'll get 2. So it's, you know, they keep it fair across all the board. So we've got to request a lot of bikes, but you know what, like, you know, the doors are still open at the moment. And as I said, this has been in the works for quite a while with Giant. So I'm proud to be a partner with Giant, and, you know, I've ridden a Giant for the last 5 years or so. And you know, the bikes are awesome. They, you know, in my opinion, like everyone knows me as a straight shooter, and, you know, I've got bikes in my garage. I've got Pinarellos, you know, I've got a few other bikes. If I didn't like the bike that I was on, I'd be back on my Pinarello and I'd look for another supplier, you know, but I can't fault my Giant bike. So I've got a new bike that I've had there for about 5 weeks now, with the new 12-speed Durace. I haven't ridden it. Haven't touched it.
Well, I got to tell you, CJ, I was over at the Giro, and I was sort of in the bunker with the team, and they love their Giant bikes, the BikeExchange-Jayco. They just can't stop raving about them.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah,
it's not so much the Giant bike either. It's you know, as you know, everyone knows a lot of people in the industry. So I was like, Cadex wheels, I'll give them a run. If I don't like them, you know, there's other suppliers like Shimano, like what we used at Sky, which is now Ineos. You know, we always had Shimano wheels or head wheels. So I was like, if I don't like the Cadex, I'll whack some Shimano wheels on, or I'll try the head wheels. Like head wheels are always good, but the Cadex wheels, like they're on my bike. Like I can't fault them. Like I've sort of tamed myself a little bit because I've got 2 kids. so I don't hit corners as hard as what I normally do. But it's I've got some pretty good tyres on there at the moment. But it's the Cadex. Seriously, for people that want new wheels, don't look past like Cadex as a brand. Like they are phenomenal wheels as well. So like what the guys are riding in the pro peloton, like especially like it's funny because I'm proud to be a partner with Bike Exchange. Like we use that in the bike shop.
Good.
And obviously we sell giant bikes. Well, that's all I've really had access to the last 2 years.
I'm waiting for Iffy to step in and go, mate, any other companies you want to plug? This is getting bloody ridiculous.
It's a paid commercial. How much are you paying for this bloody ad?
I don't drink wine, but I used to like drink it like it was going out of fashion. If you want wine, try
Michelin, that's right. But what I want to ask you is I want to ask you about a dual leadership strategy at the Tour de France. You were there in Sky in 2012 when Froome won the Tour, obviously, but he had Froome. Wigo won the Tour, but he had Froome as they weren't dual, but there was this sort of this battle. How do you think it's going to go with Jumbo, given that Iffy's mate Vingegaard and of course Roglic going and openly said, they're the two leaders for the race? I think you've answered it.
It's always good to have something up your sleeve.
Yeah.
But like if you revert back to, racing on the velodrome, you've always got, if you've got two Aussies in a scratch race or whatever, pretty quick how you feel. So it's good to have that up your sleeve. So you shouldn't go in like
Danny Clark and Gary Sutton in a points race final. Yeah, always works well.
Exactly. Halfway with points or whatever. It's kind of hard. Like Danny Clark, he might pick off sprints and get points, but my old man is going to try and take a lap. So if my old man's not on a good one, he's going to work for Danny Clark. It's this day and age, it is a little bit different. Like I'd like to think people are still pretty trustworthy, but it's my old man. If he wasn't on a good one, he'd be like, Danny, I'll lead you out for some sprints to get maximum whatever. It was like the golden handshake. So that doesn't really happen this day and age, but. I think Roglic, he's coming back from an injury. So, he showed some good form recently, and so did Vingegaard.
The good thing for them is they are good mates. They mix together with their families and everything, not just on the bike. So I don't think there's going to be an issue with them.
But I don't think there will be, but I think it comes down to the sponsors at the end of the day as well. So, as long as Jumbo can win the Tour, then I don't think Jumbo as a sponsor.
They don't care who. Yeah.
They don't care who's on the top step.
No.
But and I think
neither of them are Dutchman anyway. So
I think someone like Roglic as well. Like he's a class above everyone else. So I don't think he's going to be ashamed if Vingegaard is on the top step, because at the end of the day, the strongest person is going to win the Tour. Let's be honest. So if he's going to ride away, then let's go.
Now I wanted to get your insight into the Team Ineos, because you're an ex-Sky / Ineos man. So it looks like your mate G is going to be the main rider, because Adam Yates was tipped, but he's coming back from COVID, and I don't even know how serious he got it. But to me, and G ended up so strong in Swiss, winning it. So whereas that they had the three riders, Yates, Thomas, and Martinez as a three-pronged attack, I think it's going to be just down to one. I think they'll be all riding for G.
No. Don't reckon. So, like as you said, it's like it's hard to tell with how bad Yates had COVID. But you know, I think he's going to be fine. So he might take it easy for the first week and a half. But I think he's going to be fine. Like they're probably playing it down a little bit, trying to let him fly under the radar. And you know, I think it is smart. Like, you know, if you want to have cards up your sleeve, then like shut your mouth and keep it quiet. It's just like, yep, sweet. It's just like, seriously, like just, you know, like just keep it under your belt if you want to have two riders up there, like for GC, because it's like, you know,
That's
I was
true.
listening to Whitey before, and you have a look at what Trek just did in what was
Dauphiné.
the Dauphiné, and I was just like, I was watching it and just shaking my head, going, like, so they've ripped it up and then they just sat up, you know, just to drop Groenewegen, and I'm just going, yeah, cool. So you got rid of him, and then, you know, Jumbo's on the front riding, you know, and they're all like, what's going on?
What's
like,
the point of that?
What? Yeah, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. This is like under 13s racing.
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
It seriously was. It wasn't even worthy of under 15 championship title racing. Like,
Yeah.
it was just beyond abysmal.
So
what do you think of the Aussies overall? I mean, I'm a big rap for Ben O'Connor. I think he can maybe get the podium. And Jack Haig's coming into form. What do you think of their chances?
I was hoping you were going to bring this up. So, no, just like, I think it's just like the next 10 years for Australian cycling for GC, like tour contenders, is just phenomenal. Like, you have a look at Jai Hindley, you know, like unbelievable for an Aussie to win the Giro. Ben O'Connor, Jack Haig, like, you know, it just goes on. Like, you know, I could mention a lot of riders, but, you know, I think Ben O'Connor, like, he's going to probably come into his straps in the last, I'd say, week, you know, maximum week and a half. Like, the last week, I think Ben O'Connor's going to do something special. So,
yeah, for sure. I'll just quickly read through a couple of live comments. Carolyn Harbeck says, hope you get well soon. John, the skull, woohoo. Dan, obviously, we were talking about the Tour de France earlier. Richard wants to know, this one's for you, Sutter, how important is it to not be relegated from the World Tour? Let's say Caleb Ewan wins the Worlds later this year and Lotto get relegated. Won't they still be invited to the big races anyway?
Yeah, they will. Like, you know, at the end of the day, like, you've got a world champion in your team, you know, and like, regardless of that, it's going to be cool to have another Aussie world champion. That's right. You know, and especially for Caleb, like, I don't think you look, you know, how cool is it going to see? Who cares? How cool is it going to see having an Aussie riding around in world bands, like the world jersey, not bands, like when I say bands, like bands on your arms, but having the world champion jersey racing in criteriums or whatever in Australia.
In the Bay Crits.
The Bay Crits. Simon Knowles, loving the brutal honesty.
Bring back the 5-day Bay Crit.
That's it. Loving the brutal honesty. Really looking forward to this year's Tour de France. That's pretty much all we've got time for, lads.
I reckon Caleb is going to win 3 or 4 stages in this Tour de France. There you go. He's really hurting from last year because he was set to do a wonderful Tour de France. And then he's still absolutely pissed off with the Giro, you know, putting himself down the first day and lose the stage. And he will be back. You watch. 3 or 4 stages.
But I think, like, everyone's got to remember, like, the point system, there's a lot of racing left to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's going to fire up in that last couple of months for sure. You watch those one-day races in France and all that getting stacked with some of the big names from the teams that are in the relegation zone for sure.
I'd start panicking around September.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, Thanks for coming on, Sato. And if anyone wants to get me on the show, youtube.com/A Detour podcast. Who's your tip for the Tour de France this year, mate, before we let you go? Anyone who rides Giant? That's Bike Exchange, so they can't win the overall.
No, obviously I'm going to be. I've always supported the guys at Bike Exchange. Love to see them on the podium. I think it's going to be hard to go past Pogačar.
Yep.
But I reckon Vingegaard.
He's going to do it.
I reckon he's probably going to finish second. Top step. Not going to say top step, but I reckon Vingegaard. I reckon he's destined to finish like at least second on the podium.
So Pogačar, Vingegaard, and who you got for third? Ben O'Connor.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like O'Connor, could be second or third. I reckon. But I would not be surprised to see an Aussie potentially on the top step. It's not going to be a fluke, and it's not luck. You make your own luck.
That's it. Well, we're going to be glued. Thanks for joining us, mate. All the best with the shop renos. And do you have a website that people can go to if they want to get behind the shop?
It'll be live next week. It's going to be giantramsgate.com.au.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can go to the Giant website and then look for store locations. But inquiries, it's just simple. It's sales at giantramsgate.com.au. And, people will find our phone number, 9188-1477. It's pretty easy.
Good stuff, mate. Thanks for joining us.
You're going to ask me for my predictions, mate? Or
already said your predictions.
What are your predictions? Sorry, mate. Jeez, Dan,
come on, mate. The bloody ushers are putting people into the cinema.
Dan, what are you watching?
Elvis.
Oh, Elvis. Said that. Sorry, mate.
Pogačar, Roglic, and Ben O'Connor. And I'm going to have a surprise. They don't even know who's going to be riding, but Simon Yates actually is supposed to be going just for stage. If he's in, I think he'll be in, and I think he might just.
That was the surprise that Whitey was talking about.
Yates will be top 6.
Simon Yates.
Sorry again.
Simon Yates.
Top 6.
There you go.
All right. Great finish to the show, boys. See you soon.
Guys.
Thanks, guys. I'll give you a review next ep on Elvis. See ya.
This is the winning ride of the Tour de France.